All right, so welcome PUSD parents and families. Thank you for joining us. My name is Leticia Preciado, and I'm the Parent Engagement Coordinator here at PUSD. Thank you for taking the time out of your evening to join us. And joining me this evening, I have Miss Diana Gonzalez, who is one of our new counselors, school counselors at Heights Elementary and Willow Cove. She'll be joining us this evening. And joining us this evening as well is Officer Raquel Curran, who's one of our officers here at PUSD and will be doing this evening's presentation. So again, thank you for joining us. And I'm going to hand the floor over to Officer Curran.
Thank you, Leticia. Good evening to everyone. Thanks again for taking the time to join this presentation. I'm really excited to present this social media for parents' knowledge and awareness of what we need to look out for. Throughout the presentation, there's going to be a lot of things I'm going to talk about. If there's any questions, like Mrs. Preciado said, at the end, we're going to have a Q&A, so you can ask questions and we could discuss them. Because I have a lot of material, I would like to just start and give you the presentation. What I want to start, well, first I want to say my name is Raquel Curran. I am the school resource officer for Rancho Medanos Junior High. I've been here as the school resource officer for 5 years now. And I respond to all these schools, generally the middle school and high school, elementaries. We go every now and then, but our main schools that we have to monitor and be role models and assist and educate and support staff is middle schools and high schools. So I'm one of the SROs. There is a total of 4. One is at the high school and there's 3 at the middle school level. And again, and there's going to be a contact information at the end in case you have any questions. So let's start. Social media and kids. So lately there's been a lot of trend of kids getting in trouble using apps to do a lot of things in social media, and it's becoming a problem that I've seen in the last couple of years. Kids now having phones, there's many apps that the our kids, our students are using. Here are some of the apps that are being used. Ask FM. This is one of the informationals that was given by another police department via Facebook. And so I kind of took it from them so you guys can have an idea on what we're looking at. So some of these apps are social media apps where the users can create an account. And some of these apps are being used as messaging apps. They now messenger or send messages through these apps, similar to text messaging. So I have, like Blender, Discord, which is the gaming app, and Blender, which is the app that allows users to send messages and images and videos to random accounts. The Meet Me app is a social media app that connects users through Messenger or messages with the ultimate goal of meeting. Ask FM is also an app that users send each other questions, and we all know what's up. And then, these are some of the apps that I have up here. Other apps, obviously, you're familiar with, like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, Spotify, Whisper. All these apps that I have here. Again, they're social media apps that kids are using to communicate with one another, to post things. Instagram is huge with a lot of kids, where they post their stories, and a lot of these posts essentially can disappear, and you as a parent have no access to it. Obviously, as law enforcement, if we have a crime, essentially we can obtain a search warrant to request the company, whether it be Instagram or TikTok, to provide us information regarding a crime or something that was posted that went away. But as you're going to see, a lot of these posts do not really go away. I'm going to show you a quick video here. Oh, sorry. Perfect. So what is a digital footprint? So a digital footprint is all the information about us, about me when I'm in the internet. It basically, it's everything that I search, all the activity that I've done in my social media, whether it's through Facebook, emails, music, Google searches, anything is considered a digital footprint. And what are the things that we're trying to protect when we are using social media? It's our name, our identity, our location, and obviously our reputation. In 2018, the Pew Research did a survey on social media where they asked teens whether, the effects of social media, what groups or what apps are being used the most. YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat were the most popular amongst teens, and almost everyone has a smartphone. And 45% of those teens have said that they are online all the time. And the 37 felt pressure to post things that will get a lot of likes. Some, like, for example, some of the TikTok challenges that are happening throughout the state and nationwide. And then 45% said they were feeling overwhelmed over the drama that was occurring on social media. That's one of our number one problems in the schools, is the drama that occurs on social media. A lot of these posts either has to do with he said, she said, or someone posting false information, and then fights occur. Kids, teens believe these posts, and what ends up happening is these kids start talking, and then a crowd forms, and the he said, she said turns into a fight, whether it's during school or after school. And so a lot of the content on social media creates a lot of drama within the school and the kids. When the kids were asked in general whether or not the social media had a positive effect or a negative effect or no effect at all, 31 said they had a positive effect, 21% said negative, and 45 said neither, negative or positive. What are we trying to protect our kids from on social media? We understand now that, unfortunately, like it or not, our kids are going to use technology. We're moving into a world of technology. And, you know, whether we want to allow it or not allow it, it's happening. And our kids are going to be either having phones, computers, and that sort of things that are going to allow them to have an open web and open information. So we want to make sure we're protecting our kids when we do give them phones from cyberbullying, which is huge now with all these smartphones, online predators, which is very important as well. In the law enforcement side of it, we see a lot of online predators posing as kids, wanting to friend our children, and unfortunately our children friend those people they don't even know, posing as kids. Sexting, that's another huge thing that I've seen with not only junior high but high school. There's a lot of sexting going around among the kids, not only talking about sex, meeting or sending pictures, which leads me to inappropriate content. Inappropriate pictures, we start getting into child pornography. At the high school level is more riskier, because if the juvenile is an adult now you're talking about predators, distribution of child pornography, and that's a huge problem, a crime that someone can get charged with and definitely go to court for this. And then there's privacy risks as well. So according to stopbullying.gov, cyberbullying takes place over digital devices, cell phones, computers, tablets. Cyberbullying can also occur via text messages, emails, social media, and gaming forums. Now, gaming forums have become huge, where kids are being either bullied or stalked over a gaming forum. So we have to keep track of these things when it comes to cyberbullying. What cyberbullying is sending, posting, sharing any type of content that's negative or harmful or false or just plain mean. I see a lot of posts when parents come to me or when the school staff comes to me about kids and social media. The posts are not necessarily criminal, but they're mean. They're just mean in nature. And I think we need to start discussing with our children, what are we saying to other kids? What are we saying in general? Why we need to talk about how some of the content they post hurts other people. And then also, again, back to the sexting, that can be considered pornography, child pornography, and distribution of child pornography. So one of the things that I tell kids is, if you get a naked picture of someone and you distribute that picture to another person, and then the other person distributes it, now you're getting involved in distribution of child pornography, which can potentially be a crime. The older the juvenile is, the worse a crime it gets. So be cognizant of those things. Even parents, when you receive a pornographic picture of another student where a parent said, hey, you know, Susie Q posted this picture, or the picture of this, you know, Susie is out there and she's either naked or exposed, her body parts are exposed, and you send that to somebody else, now you are distributing child pornography, and you're an adult, and that is something you need to be cognizant and cautious about. If you in fact come across a picture of a juvenile that you know and is exposed and is sexual in nature, the best thing to do is, one, either inform the school administration, bring your phone, show them a picture, or to inform law enforcement, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the school resource officer. You can call the police department and show the picture, but do not be sending those pictures out to no one. It's you as an adult can get much more in trouble than a juvenile. However, both can potentially receive penalties and violations of the penal code in California that has child pornography and distribution of it. One of the things that I also I didn't want to put a video too much for Amanda Todd, but we're having a lot of suicidal ideations because some juveniles post things that are hurtful, harmful, and shameful, and the victim starts feeling suicidal. And one of the good examples of that, of an unfortunate event, is Amanda Todd, who was a 15-year-old juvenile who committed suicide by hanging herself after posting a series of words as to why she was feeling the way she was feeling. So if you research that, you'll see the information regarding Amanda Todd, which is a very serious and sad thing. But in this situation, just like I said earlier, it was an adult who posed as, a juvenile, and later ended up blackmailing her and asking for more pictures and threats. And now we're talking about stalking. We're talking about, asking someone and extorting somebody in exchange of more pictures or things like that. Things that a parent can do to prevent cyberbullying. So, like I discussed earlier, we can't stop our kids from having technology. This is our future. This is what we're going to be doing now. But you have to monitor your child's social media. You have to be able to have access to that phone. You have to know their passcodes. You have to know the apps that are out there. So when you see these apps downloaded in your child's phones, you know what they do and what kind of app they're downloading. Or follow your children on social media. Be aware that your children are very smart kids, and they do create fake accounts on social media. A lot of parents I talk to, they say to me, well, I follow my child on social media. I'm their friend on, Instagram or whatever. But what you don't know is that they have two accounts. Is they have one Instagram account that's the good account where all the good things are being posted. And they have also a secret Instagram account that they post other things that you're not aware of. So be aware of those things in your child's phone. Again, know their passcodes and establish rules. My daughter has rules when it comes to her phone. Is you're not allowed to have that phone at night. As soon as it's time for you to go to bed, the phone comes into my room and is put away. It doesn't stay in her room. And the rules are also, if you don't get your chores done or your homework or you're missing assignments or your grades are low, you will not get that phone back. Or I will take the phone away if you don't do A, B, and C. If, kids like to give you, reasons why they can't do something or why they won't do something. So I use that as, honestly, it works for me, where I tell my daughter, if you don't get this done, you will get your phone taken away for 3 hours or, the rest of the day. So establish those rules. You pay for those phones. You pay for the service. Your child should not have privacy. You shouldn't be allowing any privacy when it comes to your child and their safety. And that leads me to privacy. I see a lot of juveniles having their Instagram accounts public, their TikToks public, everything's public. I also see juveniles accepting friends who they don't know. They, you know, when I ask kids, well, how do you know that person? Why do you have them as a friend? Oh, I don't know. They were just a friend of a friend of a friend, or, you know, another friend is following them, so I decided to follow them too. We got to have a serious conversation with our children that we need to keep our settings in a private, you know, setting, and we need to not friend just anyone. If you don't know them, the rule should be to not friend anyone you don't know. Kids thrive off of friends. You know, all I hear is I have thousands of friends, or I have this many likes. And a lot of these people that are online, a lot of times they're not good people. They're not. I'm going to show you another short video here. Hold on, I don't think I have the volume up. Here we go.
Hey, Sarah.
Sorry, I just had a little issue here.
Hey, Sarah.
Oh, she's so cute. How do you know him?
Come on, Connor, do it like I taught you. Welcome to Bedford, Sarah. Let's go!
Dude, that's Sarah. Sarah in the picture. That's the girl I was telling you about. Oh, that's Sarah?
Theater 2 on your left. Hey, Sarah. What color underwear today? Hey, Sarah. So when are you going to post something new?
Anything you post online, anyone can see. Family, friends,
See you later, Sarah.
even not so friendly people. Think before you post.
So that's another problem is when kids start posting things, kids share things, and it's not private. It's not private anymore. There's a lot of online predators, again, posting as teens. We have also sex offenders who, if you go to Megan's Law and look at the sex offender list of how many sex offenders live in the area, it should be public. You should be able to see that on Megan's Law. They also have online access. They also have phones, and they post as normal people or as teens. Again, kids friend of anyone. Fake social media accounts, again, from predators, as well as juveniles who want to avoid parent detection. They will post things on a social media account that is either they post as another person, or they create an account that cannot be traced to them by the parent. And then this is how sometimes people initiate sexual conversations, and they start asking for information. They start telling the kids to keep secrets and not tell anybody about situations over the internet, or questions or requests. I also had a real quick, let me exit out of here, because I want to also tell you that in the digital footprint, one of the things that one of the things that I wanted to address with the digital footprint is this article from 2017 where Harvard rescinds admissions to 10 students for offensive Facebook memes. And you can read the article on Forbes and look up, the students that got, because of the memes, they weren't accepted. And so what the article talks about is how, some of these students had like a Facebook Messenger group and other groups where they made fun of people, made fun of race, made fun of sexual assault and other things that cause these kids to not be accepted at the school. And so a lot of times we have to talk to our kids about, the fact that this can be a problem, for them in the future. A lot of colleges are looking at their social media and also jobs in government where they look at social media. And when they do look at social media and they see posts or memes that are negative or they are harmful to people, you will have a problem with being accepted in any schools that they want to do. All right, let's get back to here. I'm not sure if that was it. I was able to pull that out. Okay, and then back to the sexting gone bad. I have a short video about sexting and sextortion, child pornography, but you can Google these things. Some of the conversations that, or things that kids use that are encrypted or that a parent won't know when they see their text messages. But a lot of these things like, DURS, damn you're sexy, or PIR, parent in the room, and number 22. So things like that is things that you have to get educated and try to Google and research the slang terms that kids are using or the code words they're using on either social media or phone. When they know that a parent can't understand this, they take advantage of that. So you don't know what they're talking about. Let me show you a video here real quick of the cloud.
Question.
Oh, and of
Would you build
course,
a website
we have
for
to do
major
commercials.
with more than 200 million users?
There we go.
Am I in heaven?
No, my son, you are in the cloud.
The cloud? Wait, you mean like where I store all my pictures and videos?
Officer Karan, we can't see the
No,
screen.
not everything.
You can't see the
goes in
screen?
cloud.
No, we still see the presentation.
Okay, hold on. Let me, maybe I have to remove it. Hold on a second. Thank you for letting me know. Presentation, let's pull it down here. Okay, let's see. Can you see it now?
No, my son, you are in the cloud.
The cloud?
No,
You mean like
it's
where I
still
store
the same one.
pictures
I
and
think you need to go to the
videos?
top and share
Yes.
that specific
No,
one,
not everything needs to
Okay.
go
that
in
specific
cloud.
window.
By the way, Japan,
Huh, let's see. Sorry about that, you guys. I'm trying to figure this out myself. All right, let me go back to share. Can you see it?
Yeah, that one works.
password, way too easy to break.
I don't want to be in the cloud
Heaven?
No, my son, you are in the cloud.
The cloud? Wait, you mean like where I store all my pictures and videos?
Yes. You know, not everything needs to go in the cloud. By the way, your password? Way too easy to break.
Back in the day, we used computer hard drives, CDs, and even floppy disks to store our data. Nowadays, however, we have the cloud. Woo! The future. But what is the cloud? Or more importantly, where does all of our stuff go? Cloud storage is essentially a virtual locker where you can remotely stash any of your data. So are all of those cat photos just hanging around up in the sky? Not quite. When you upload a file to a cloud-based service like Google Drive or iCloud, that file gets copied over the internet into a data server. Database servers are actual physical places where companies store your files on multiple hard drives. Most companies will have hundreds of these servers, known as server farms, spanning across multiple locations. So if one happens to get hit by an asteroid, you won't lose your data because it'll be backed up at another location. This is referred to as redundancy, and it keeps your data safe from being lost. Chances are you're already utilizing cloud computing if you use services like Gmail, which connects to Google Drive. Storage on Google Drive starts you at 15 gigabytes for free, but can be increased to as high as 30 terabytes for $300 a month. Services like iCloud, Dropbox, and Microsoft OneDrive offer similar monthly fees for higher storage capabilities. One huge benefit of cloud computing is that you can access data on any internet-capable device. And these days, what isn't connected to the internet, am I right? Also, remember a couple episodes ago when my computer exploded from that secret message I got?
Hello, Armand. This message will self-destruct.
Without the cloud, I would have lost all my files. Luckily, I backed up my hard drive the night before and was able to restore everything. This is getting really expensive. Of course, not everything is perfect, and there have been some problems with cloud storage in the past. In August 2014, a major iCloud hack led to the leaks of hundreds of private photos from various celebrities. Also, who could forget that terrible Cameron Diaz and Jason Segel movie? Ugh. However, cloud computing can be a great solution for freeing up space on your device, creating a seamless way to access your files, and a pretty good safeguard from the total destruction of your hardware. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Also, get your head out of the cloud. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you like about this show and what you want us to.
So, nothing is private. That includes our own conversations, you know, at home. Is really, you got to really think about what kids are doing that is being stored in the cloud. So always have access to those passcodes, to those logins, because that's exactly what you need in order to be able to see what pictures they're taking or what pictures they're storing. Let's talk about a little bit about revenge porn or child pornography. And I'm going to play you another short video of that real quick here. So let me see if I can share that with you.
So you did a thing. You sent a picture of yourself with no clothes on. Something you thought wouldn't be shared. And in a polite society, cats wear clothes, right? Anyway, seemed like a good idea at the time. But now things have gone wrong. Terribly wrong. Maybe you shared the picture with someone you loved and trusted. But after a while, things weren't so friendly. Or they said they'd help you become a star. They just wanted to use you. Or maybe you met someone online and they really seemed to understand you. But then it got weird. And it turned out to be someone totally different. Now the person you shared the pic with is demanding more and threatening to tell. That's sextortion. Yep, that's a thing. The perpetrator relies on you feeling ashamed and keeping quiet. But they are the ones who should be ashamed. What they are doing is wrong. And it's never too late to find your voice to ask for help. Or too early to reach out to your friends to tell them you'll be there no matter what. In fact, you can stop sextortion before it starts by talking about it now. With support, you can do anything, and you can focus on the important business of being cats. So tell your closest friends today you've got their back no matter what.
Okay, so that right there is, kids or people just getting extorted for their a picture of them, or for just anything on social media that can lead to many things. And then the last, I got a couple more before I open up for questions. Let's see, I have our most important thing, which is human trafficking. And that's major in California, it's major in Contra Costa County. And so let me go back to the slideshow here. Okay, so human trafficking is exploitation of children, and where minors get recruited to get forced into sex trafficking, and it happens via social media or friends, or males posing as a boyfriends that essentially turn into pimps, which then essentially forces a juvenile to get involved into human trafficking. There's a lot of human trafficking operations that are going on in our county. We recently had the month of human trafficking, and we have a lot of counties doing this, but Contra Costa County in general, we have mostly Pittsburgh, the Sheriff's Department, Antioch, Richmond. They're all doing operations to bring down pimps, human trafficking, and to save those who are right now currently victims of human trafficking. And so there's a lot of things going on in our county regarding that. Between 2018 and 2019, the number grew. It's a business that is growing. The human traffickers, the pimps, it's an easy criminal job they can do without getting really caught, because they're not doing the dirty work. And they're forcing these victims into sex slavery or slavery. But it grew. If you see the numbers from 30,000 plus to 100,000 plus from 2008 to 2019, it's huge and it's scary. I have a daughter. I'm scared for her. And a lot of these problems stem from social media. A lot of these issues and a lot of these pimps and a lot of these recruiters who are also students, who are also juveniles, females also start recruiting other females. We see this a lot. And I do have I do have a human trafficking presentation that talks all about human trafficking, what it is, the law about human trafficking. But here are the numbers, and that's scary. And in 2020, there was 1,334 human trafficking cases reported in California, and I'm sure that has grown since then. So we really have to keep in mind that this is one of the issues of social media. And I'm gonna show you the last video, and then we can open it up for questions.
tell me what the different chromosome is for a male versus a female? Yes,
XX is female and XY is male.
correct?
This is chromosome here.
No, no.
We're trying to study.
What is this?
Nothing.
What is this? What are you doing?
Nothing.
Who is that?
Nobody.
Who is that? Who are you texting?
Hey, it's gonna be fun. Come over here.
Unfortunately, this is reality, folks. This is what's happening in human trafficking. It's happening in our own backyard, and we are not aware because, you know, it's really not talked about. And so you have to keep track of your kids' social media and or your kids' phones, because that's the avenue they use to talk to these people, and all the things we talked about today. Here are some ideas for parental controls. We have Bark, Custodio. You know, they monitor the platforms, they track social media, they can filter content. Obviously, some of these apps for parents cost money, sometimes through your own phone provider, such as AT&T. They'll provide these things if you ask, and they may be included with your already subscription. We also have Knit Nanny, Norton, which limits and monitors online searches, screen time, tracks your child's location. And there's many more. Here is just a couple of apps that I pulled up, so you guys are aware of what you can use to monitor some of your kids' content in social media. So I'll bring it back to you, Leticia. I know there was a couple of questions here.
Actually, before we go to Q&A, we're going to have one of the counselors who's joining us, Diana Gonzalez. She's one of our counselors supporting Heights and Willow Cove Elementary, and she's going to share a few words as well.
Okay, let me stop sharing here real quick. Perfect.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's my absolute pleasure to be joining this evening as a panelist. And I just wanted to come on and share sort of what tier 1 interventions that I have put in place at both of my sites. And I've also shared those presentations with other elementary counselors, so they can have similar content and sort of cater it to their school population. So back in November, I presented to our 4th and 5th grade students at both sites. a social media presentation that is based off of a research-based site, which is commonsense.org. So I welcome you guys to check out that website, and you can get more information, kind of cater it down more to maybe your student, your child. And what I gave was just sort of like an overall sort of presentation, and I covered a lot of different topics, a lot of those that Officer covered, and that was, we talked about protecting passwords and sharing those passwords with our trusted adult, and that is you, the parents at home. Make sure that you give them access, because the population that I'm working with are under 13, and there's a lot of restriction when it comes to them being on social media platforms and apps. And a lot of those are that you must be 13 and older to participate. But we know that that's not the reality. So I promote very much for them to talk to their trusted adult, and that is you guys. With that, I also covered sharing private and personal information and the difference of that. So there is obviously things that we are gonna share on our social media, and those are things that are pretty general, like that you're a girl and that maybe you like basketball or you like collecting model cars, whatever. These are like okay things, right, to share. But then we have our personal information, and those are that can often get us into a lot of trouble. And that is them sharing birth dates, social security numbers, addresses, like specific things that could really put them at target. Another thing that we talked about was clickbait. And so that's something that we want to be aware of, and have them understand that a lot of the times it's someone on the other end creating this link so that they can get private information from you, and from most of the time from your kids. And a lot of the times they're not realizing it, that there could be making purchases, and they don't even realize that oftentimes your credit card is linked to that account, and then they can be racking up, excessive charges. Two other that go hand in hand that we talked a lot about was creating a media balance. And so that is monitoring the amount of time that they are on any digital device, whether that's their laptops, tablets, cell phones, but also making, having a media balance when it comes to their video games, because we know that they can be on for hours on end playing Call of Duty or Roblox or whatever the case. And so we talked about having that media balance of being able to put their phone down, of actually looking up and interacting with their peers, their family members. And that also comes with, making good media choices. And so that kind of plays a lot into Officer Karan's presentation today of knowing what to share, when to share, and also making good media choices when it comes to having peer relationships, of how they speak to one another, how they interact in that regard. And then we talked a lot about how words have power, and when it comes to cyberbullying and sort of having that mutual respect for one another. And a lot of that does come down to being upstanders. And we talk a lot about this, of being upstanders, of being proactive. And a lot of the times we're seeing that kids aren't necessarily understanding like the ramifications, the consequences that can come being on the person on the other end and not using kind.
Is it just me, or did Diane?
I think she might have frozen.
Okay.
All right, so Go ahead and then go to Q&A at this point. So if you have any questions, we will not be using the raise hand feature. But if you do have any questions, please place them in the Q&A at this time.
So as Diana was saying, all these things are important to teach our kids when we're at home and to discuss and have an open discussion with them. A couple things is, does a high school monitor the student's email? I know that when you're using the school email, it's not considered a private. The school can access any emails, but I'm not 100% sure if they do monitor. I know that when there is an issue where an email was sent to a teacher or an email was sent to another student from the school email, it gets immediately reported to the district's IT tech people, and they are the ones who essentially look at these emails and report back as to where the email came from. As far as any monitoring of anything else, I'm not sure, but I could tell you that the kids and you sign a contract at the beginning of the school year regarding how to use the property of Pittsburgh Unified School District when it comes to emails, Zoom, or any type of school accounts that are being used to communicate. Do you know anything else about the monitoring of that, Diana or Leticia?
Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I got disconnected there for a second. But unfortunately, I came on to the district a little later before the start of, or after the start of the school year. So I came in at the end of September. So I didn't get to review any of that, like the internet kind of rules and all that stuff. But I do know that we do have like access to a lot of being able to monitor everything that they've gone on, the amount of time that they are straying away from the apps that they're supposed to be working on. And a lot of the times we can screen mirror and see exactly what they're on in real time. In terms of like what's already been done, I'm not completely familiar with.
Yeah, I know that IT techs, if it's items that are belonging to the Pittsburgh Unified School District, they will research and find out who has sent what and who created accounts in using a platform that belongs to Pittsburgh Unified School District. So essentially, yes, the answer is they're being monitored if they have a flag or a red flag, and it needs to be addressed. Now, as far as, you know, asking our children for information, or, you know, what you allow and what you don't allow in your household is really up to what works for you in your home. I, as a parent, I'm very more strict with my kids. So my kids, I don't want to say they don't have any rights, but I don't allow them to tell me how I can monitor their cell phone use, because I do pay for that cell phone use. If my child does not want to give me their passcode, there's going to be a consequence, whether it's taking away the phone, disconnecting the line. You shouldn't be shy, and you shouldn't be sorry to try to get all this information from your child. You're the parent. Essentially, at the end of the day, you're trying to protect your kid from being bullied or from human trafficking or from anything else that you're protecting your kid. And at that point, you shouldn't feel scared of wanting to get all that info from your kid, and there should be consequences for that. Then if they don't want to, then they're not ready to have cell phones or social media if they're not willing to give you that information, because a lot of parents, unfortunately, are not okay with asking for things of their children, to include checking their rooms. You are the adult. That's how you're going to find out what your child is doing. And so don't be sorry, and don't be shy. You just have to do it. It's part of parenting. That's my opinion. And as far as allowing your children to have relationships with other people, such as boyfriend and girlfriends, you can tell your child, I don't allow you to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and they're going to have one. You're not here with your child 24/7. They're going to have a little boyfriend or a crush. Think about yourselves. We were all kids. We didn't always listen to our parents, and we did things behind our parents' backs. And even though we knew it wasn't okay, I think the best answer to that is have an open communication with your child. I don't want my kid to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but I can only say, hey, mama, I don't want you to have a boyfriend. You're too young, and educate them. Say, you have to respect one another. You have to not, be sexual in nature. You have to respect yourself. You can't be sending pictures of yourself nude to these boys or to a boy or to a girl or whatever. Just have that open conversation. Don't be afraid to have those conversations with your kids. I know when my kids were my older boys, now they're adults, but when they were juveniles, we discussed condoms. And I'm not saying go have sex, because that's not what I'm telling my kids. That's the last thing I want them to do. However, I do have to explain to them, I don't want you to have these type of relationships with these girls. But if you do, because you may not listen to your mom, these are the consequences of what could happen when you have sex. And I tell them babies, financial, I tell them disease, and then I mention condoms. Condoms. I also talk about, especially with boys, I talk about how having a personal relationship with another person, a female, if a female says no, stop, we need to tell our kids or boys, it means stop. Because a lot of problems that I come into contact as a police officer is parents wanting to report that their daughter had a sexual relationship with another juvenile, and it was probably consensual. However, because they got caught, they are going to say that it wasn't. And sometimes it wasn't consensual. Sometimes it was a crime. So we have to talk about these things with our children, whether we like it or not. It's just one of those things. And the more we talk about our kids, the better we are as parents. Anything else, Diana?
I was just going to say, it is very much to piggyback off of what you said. It is having those conversations, having that open dialogue, and letting them know that when you're having these conversations, that it is a safe space, that it isn't a time to discipline. It is very much about giving them that time and that space to ask the questions and to be able to ask open and honestly, and you can answer a lot more openly than we can as educators. I know that, excuse me?
Without getting upset.
Correct, yeah. And so I think also it is about promoting that mutual respect for one another. I'm not saying completely no, don't, I can't tell you how to parent ultimately, but it is about promoting that mutual respect, letting them know it is okay to have friends of all genders and be accepting of that. And maybe just promoting more like group setting, group dates, right, of mixed genders. And then just kind of letting them know like that when you do enter that and you do feel that if your child is responsible enough to carry that that sort of relationship, it's very much about the respect, because you don't want it to become disruptive for their learning environment, not just for themselves, but for their peers. And that's kind of like what I answered in that with that question. And I say that with all due respect, because I know that there's a lot of things that I get to talk about with students that is behind that veil of confidentiality. And so I as an educator and just as, you know, an aunt, having that mom mentality and whatnot, I want to give them the information that is true and accurate. I don't want them to hear about how to be, you know, sexual or the consequences of sex from peers or from what they see in pornography or whatever the case. Like, you want to give them the best information, the truest information, so that they can go in well-informed on how to make these decisions when it comes to their own body. And so, yes, it is very much about promoting consent, promoting safe sex practices, and the consequences that comes without, you know, and the responsibility that comes when you do enter those types of relationships. And also be very aware of sort of that manipulation that can happen when there's sort of like a power dynamic, especially when our students are going from like a middle school setting into maybe the high school setting, and now they're going to be approached by older students, maybe in a romantic way, and that can create that power balance. So it is very much about understanding, like, even though someone is older and might have more influence, it is your own body, and you do get to, you know, have your own consent.
And talking about consent, that leads me to another question, which is, what's the age of consent to have sex? As well, it's 18. In California, the age of consent is 18 years old. If you're a juvenile, essentially you can't consent to sex. But we know kids do it. We know kids, unfortunately, are having sex, and they're not consenting adults. I mean, juveniles. They're not, neither the boy nor the girl, or girl, or whatever the gender may be, or however they identify, having a sexual relationship. They cannot consent to that. Now, what does the law say about someone being prosecuted for it? Unfortunately, with consent also comes intent. And in the California, state of California, it is believed that a juvenile cannot have an intent or cannot form intent. Therefore, whatever occurred was not malicious in nature, because they're not able to formulate intent. These are just tough questions that we as parents have to be asking our children, and talk about, you know, the law. But at the same time, it kind of hurts us, because a lot of the laws, when it comes to juveniles, they're not really prosecuting anyone. And the reason is because that's not what we want to do. The juvenile system does not want to punish. They're correcting, they're essentially teaching them things, and they're not punishing children for what they do, because again, they're intense, their brain is not developed fully, and therefore the law sees it as they can't formulate some type of malicious intent. So it's just a question of you having, again, that conversation with your child. And if something comes up, you know, go to the school and see if there's any resources, or the district, or the counselors, like, you know, Diana, and see if what can you do to support you and give you that help that you can, to help you with, navigate parenting. Is there any, I don't know if, Leticia, this meeting is being, or this webinar is being recorded, so I believe you can later share this once it gets sent to you via Parent Square.
We will also be sending you just a copy of the PowerPoint presentation via Parent Square, so you'll have access to that. And then in the chat, I did place a quick link to a short survey. It's a quick 2 questions anonymous survey. If you can please take a moment to click on that link before you exit out of this evening's workshop. we really appreciate your feedback.
I don't think I see any more questions here. I think at the end of the day, of our topic of social media is having an open conversation with your children and discussing dangerous of things. Educate yourselves, not only on the apps available to our children, educate yourself on the phone that you buy, because a lot of parents are, they come and say, well, I don't know how to navigate their iPhone. Well, you bought their iPhone, you should know how to navigate that phone. Also, the internet access you have at home. A lot of times I have Xfinity and AT&T. I know I can go to their apps and I can actually pause the internet. So when I know I want to sit down for dinner and my daughter is not listening because she's on the phone watching TikTok or making TikTok videos, I pause the internet. And then you can't have access unless you have a hotspot. But you have to be able to navigate those things in your home and learn these things. Google everything. Everything's on Google now. So everything that you can get, Google how to stop this, how to do that, how to use AT&T apps, call customer service, and have those things available to you to be able to navigate how to help you with your child social media.
I did also just place a link on there in the chat for Common Sense Media. There's a lot of great resources there for parents and families. And I did place the link there as well. So there's a lot of great information and articles there that you can view and maybe use those to have conversations with your child out.
Yeah, I did use Common Sense Media. It's a really good site to get a lot of information. So yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that's also the site that I used in creating my presentation. I'm sorry I had gotten cut off and whatnot, but yeah, that's exactly what I use. And then it's great because it has a lot of the topics are broken down by like age level, grade level, so you can find something that is more catered to each of your students.
Yes. And then someone brings up the point of Instagram pages or Instagram accounts that, have like rancho fights or rancho booty pictures. We do have those. We are aware of all these accounts. We are getting when we see something like that, we get a hold of the Instagram and we report it to Instagram. Technology is out, and now we have to catch up to technology. So a lot of times law enforcement hasn't caught up to it yet, and sometimes we are not familiar on how to navigate these things as law enforcement. And also because we need search warrants for certain things, we can't just freely go calling Instagram and saying, give me the info of who owns that account, because again, it also has to do with the law and privacy, and we were not allowed, as a member of law enforcement, I'm not allowed to ask for those things unless I have a search warrant. And so we are aware of those things. We try to report it. The school district reports it to them as well. And so we're in hopes that they remove the account. But our children are the ones who are also creating these accounts, and it's unfortunate, but they are, a couple of accounts that we already found and brought, that were brought to our attention. We were able to remove them, and we found out who it was that was responsible, and we just deal with that and the parents in private and in hopes that they learn that this is not okay. I don't see anything else here. Again, I do appreciate you guys taking the time this afternoon to discuss this. If there's any questions that you have that you can think of later in the future, don't hesitate to call me or call anyone else in this panel that can give you that information, or your child's school. Your child's school has a lot of resources as well that they can give you information. And I hope I answer everyone's questions here in the chat.
All right, so I want to thank everyone for attending this evening to get this valuable information. So you can be aware of what to look for, how to have conversations with your children regarding this topic. This is something we never as parents had to deal with in the past before, as social media didn't exist. So it's a new path and adventure that as parents we have to be aware of to help support our children through. And so thank you for joining us this evening. And thank you to Officer Curran and Ms. Gonzalez for joining us this evening. If you haven't completed the survey, if you can please click on the link that's in the chat. And again, we appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to join us today. Have a wonderful evening.